You're looking now at live pictures of the U.S. Capitol building, the steps where we are now. The president will deliver his State of the Union address there in a little over an hour. We'll have continuing coverage of that, of course, all night. But first, we want to bring you more news from the newly volatile Commonwealth of Virginia. Just 24 hours ago, it was a completely different picture. At that point, the state's lieutenant governor, Justin FairFax, fully expected a job promotion, of course, because the governor, Ralph Northam, was found to have a Klan hood on his med school yearbook page. But that's not how it worked out. Now, Justin FairFax himself stands accused of serious wrongdoing. A politics professor from California called Vanessa Tyson says that FairFax sexually assaulted her in his hotel room at the 2004 Democratic National Convention in Boston. Her description of that is graphic. Now, Tyson is an active Democrat. She's got degrees from Princeton and the University of Chicago. It's not easy to dismiss her claims out of hand, and yet FairFax is. He says there was a sexual encounter between the two, but he describes it as consensual. Here's the interesting thing. His Democratic colleagues are standing with him and against her tonight. In other words, in the space of just a few months, the standard for believing sexual assault accusers has changed completely. So here, in case you've forgotten, is how prominent Democrats responded to the unsubstantiated allegations brought against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Watch.
Let me just say right at the outset, I believe Dr. Ford. I believe the survivor here.
I commend her courage. I believe her.
Do you believe her story?
Well, I could tell you it really does have a ring of truth to it.
I think the allegations of Professor Ford are extremely credible.
I believe her because she's telling the truth. Someone who is lying does not ask the FBI to investigate their claims. Judge Kavanaugh has not asked to have the FBI review these claims. Is that the reaction of an innocent person? It is not.
I commend her courage. She's telling the truth because she is, said Kirsten Gillibrand at the time. Are they saying that tonight? No. They no longer believe all women, not anymore. Neither does the Washington Post, which you remember was the very first to report on Christine Blasey Ford's allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. And in fact, that same newspaper, owned by the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, as a vanity project, first investigated the FairFax story, but strangely decided not to publish it. It's just a he said, she said story, they said, pushed by some professor out in California. The irony is unbelievable, but it's definitely not worthy of print, just so you know the standard. Tammy Bruce is president of Independent Women's Voice, and she joins us tonight. So, Tammy, for those of us searching for some standard that we can look to govern our own behavior and our own judgments, what is the standard?
Well, the standard is to take women seriously. The standard is to take people who make allegations, people who make statements about either violence or crime, is not to believe them out of hand immediately because there are issues of due process and facts to be found, but you take them seriously. That's what we've asked for as women in dealing with issues like this. And this was my message throughout the Kavanaugh hearing. When it comes to Christine Ford, it was to take her seriously. I think something happened to her, but then we determined as this unfolded that it was likely not Brett Kavanaugh. And interestingly, in this case, you've got someone who is, as you've noted, is actually not from an opposing political party. There's less of an idea that there might be a political motive here. And yet Ms. Tyson should also be taken seriously, but I would not say that we should just believe her out of hand.
No.
What this marks, Tucker, is the problem when this kind of an issue is used for partisan purposes and where a group of people look to one party to be the saviors on an issue, because then it becomes weaponized. And you never get to a point where you can actually have solutions on the issue. One side uses it to get the other side, and then they ignore it when it happens to their side. And what I predicted during Kavanaugh has come true. Ms. Tyson now is being abandoned by the very same people who said that this is the most important issue in the world, and they tried to destroy Brett Kavanaugh over this, and it happens to women all the time and every day. And now we're looking at women suspiciously. If you're a Democrat, if you're accusing a Democrat, you aren't to be taken seriously. If you're accusing a Republican, you should. This is the problem with making this kind of an issue a partisan issue.
I totally agree. It degrades and corrupts everything.